like I'm gonna hate this in 6 months time, but we're here now. We gotta practice, we gotta do what we do. Hi guys, I'm Izzy, and today I'm gonna be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I've read 57 books this year. Figured this was a good way to recap what I'd done. Let's go on with the video. So the first question is, what is your favourite book you've read so far this year? And I'm already going to cheat by choosing 2 books because I can't decide. So the first one is Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. I went into this thinking it would be average. I'd heard like one person talk about it and they loved it, and I figured sounds interesting, but I was thinking it was going to be more like a 3-star read than a 5-star read, but this book was incredible. Like from the first page we were off, we were going, we were ready, we were adventuring, we were heisting, we were stealing stuff, we were running away from people who were trying to catch us for stealing stuff. We had a talking key. I was loving life. 500 pages later, I was like ready to spend every penny I had on the next book. Like, it was incredible. The world was so creative. The magic system was incredible. It was so interesting. Usually, like, once the magic system's been explained a little bit, I get a little bit bored because there's only so much I need to know at one time about the world and the magic system, but every sentence I was thrilled by the magic system. Some people said it was boring. I personally loved it. The characters were incredible. You know, I'm a massive fan of a found family. This was more like a found hated family. Like, they didn't like each other, but they had to work together, so it was great. I'm sure they're going to learn to love each other in the coming books. I believe in them. But it was just so thrilling, and I need the next book like right now. Like, I need to know what's going to happen, what's happening. I need to know. And my second favourite book of the year, or like joint first, was Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. Tragically, I don't own either of these books. Need to get them. Because this was also like, I went into it expecting to enjoy it, but like I didn't think it was going to be like a 5-star read, which again it was, obviously. This was another story that was just like action from start to finish. The stakes felt so high because he was not afraid to kill off characters. Like, I was quite concerned at the rate of which we were killing off characters, but I loved it because I was like thinking we were in actual danger. I hate when books, like, one person who you don't really care about dies and then everyone else is like fine. Not a big fan of that. But this is incredible. The main character, Spencer, love her. She's so angry and she's so frustrated, and usually in YA I feel like it can be a bit like just angry for no reason, but like I felt her frustration at being branded for what her dad did, for her dad deserting and her having to take on the like his legacy because of that, being a coward because of her father, and like her frustration felt real, but she was so determined. She was not going to give up at all. Like, she was committed, she was so dedicated to her cause, and like I loved her because she was just not backing down, and she made bad decisions and she made rash decisions, and she put herself in positions that she probably shouldn't have, but everything had a reason for it. So I felt fine with that because I was like, yeah, that seems like something you would do if you were in that situation. So, big fan. Okay, so the next question is the best sequel you've read this year. Does this count as a sequel? I don't know, but this is the best sequel I've read this year, because you can't read this without having read Six of Crows duology or the Grisha trilogy, so it feels like a sequel because it builds on all of those books. But I love this. This was the favourite sequel. Oh, am I holding it upside down? No, I'm holding it the right side. I loved King of Scars. It was everything I wanted from this. I know some people didn't like it, but personally I was a big fan. I love Nikolai. He's a fun character, but what made it great was the rest of the characters. Nina, the love of my life, like, she got a lot of time in Six of Crows, but I always wanted more of her because she just had a lot going on, and she was just a genuinely interesting character, and her story in Six of Crows is amazing. Trying to move on from obviously a very traumatic time in Six of Crows and finding what she actually wants to do with her life and who she wants to be surrounded with and what her cause should be was really inspiring and really moving, because you could feel the emotion behind it, and also, like, I'm ready for her to take down everything in the second book. Nikolai and Zoya were great. I loved Zoya in this book. Didn't really care for her in the Grisha trilogy. I just didn't think she had enough development to be like a fully well-rounded character, but she was great in this book. She really got a lot of time. We really got a lot of backstory for her. Read it, love it, it's great. Can't wait for the next one. I'm obsessed, and I want all of these characters to be around for like 10 books because they're great. The other best sequel I read was Obsidian by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I did not particularly care for Illuminate and Gemina. I really liked the plot, but I found the writing to be lacking in a lot of places. But Obsidian really surprised me. I still only gave it 4 stars. I didn't give it 5 stars like the other books, but it really went a lot deeper than the first 2 books. Felt like they were really dedicated to showing what it was like to live with your oppressors and to live with those people that you're oppressing, and the discussion on war and what it does to people and families was definitely not what I was expecting from Obsidian, because I enjoyed the other books, but there definitely hadn't been any real deepness to them. They were obviously tragic, but I really felt like there was a lot of layers to Obsidian. I really enjoyed it because of that. The other 2 just didn't take it to that level for me, so I was really surprised, and I loved it. It was great. Next question is new release you haven't read yet but really want to. I'm going to be real basic here and go with Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I pre-ordered it, hasn't arrived, tragically, and I feel like this is everyone's answer because it's really blowing up currently on BookTube, but I need it in my life. I need to read it, I need to experience it. I see everyone tweeting about it, posting about it on Goodreads, and I feel very left out. So Amazon, send me the book, please. Thanks. I need it for Pride Month, like it's June. I'm offended. The most anticipated release for the second half of 2019. Again, basic answer, like who isn't saying Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo? Like everyone's ready, everyone's waiting. We all need it in our lives. Our lives are going to be better once we have Ninth House in our possession. I need it to come sooner. We have to wait till like what, October, November? No, wait, September? Do we have to wait till September? I hope it's only September. I can't wait to read it. Am I going to be the same after? We don't know. Probably not, because I'm too excited. And of course I'm so excited for Starsight by Brandon Sanderson, because Skyward really left me on a cliffhanger. So I don't know I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm ready for the experience. I'm ready for the journey. I'm ready to be back with Spencer, the love of my life. So biggest disappointment. The biggest disappointment of 2019, that has to go to Watch Us Rise by Renee Watson and Ellen Hagen. I thought this was going to be a surefire 5 stars. Like, feminism books are pretty much a winner for me all the time. I love feminism. I love young girls learning about feminism, learning about what they want to do, learning about how they want to interact with it, learning about where their space is, where there needs to be improvements, and just really discovering that for themselves. I think it's great, and I pretty much always love it. So I was really disappointed by this book because I'd expected to love it, and it just didn't work for me. I really loved the character of Jasmine. She really carried, I really think her back hurts from carrying this entire novel. But her counterpart Chelsea was just, that was trialing, one would say trialing. Chelsea just was not, the rest of the time they really did say some great things on feminism, but when it came to Chelsea, she just seemed to be missing the mark entirely. She was a white, straight, able-bodied, thin woman, and she kept saying how she'd never seen herself represented in fiction and in media, mainly because she had frizzy hair, which I thought was weird, because Jasmine, who was fat and black and hadn't been represented, and that was a big part of it, you know, that she was only represented in stereotypes and she didn't want to always be defined by those, and that was a really good part of the story. But then Chelsea would come along and be like, I've never seen myself in fiction because no one has frizzy hair, and it's like, I feel like we've changed to a different novel here, like what really? Yeah, so it just was not what I was expecting or what I wanted. It just did not hit the mark. Next question is, what is the biggest surprise for you for 2019? That would be The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. I am not Cassandra Clare's biggest fan. I don't think I gave any of the Mortal Instruments over 3 stars, and most of them like 1 and 2 stars. It just was not for me. I read The Infernal Devices a long time ago, and I did give it 5 stars at the time, but I was like 15 and was giving everything 5 stars just because everyone else loved it, so I don't really trust my own reviews at that point. But in recent years I've only read The Mortal Instruments and I have not been a big fan of it at all. I decided to pick this up because I saw it at the library and I was like, I guess I'll give it a read. Again, wasn't really expecting to love it. I didn't really like Magnus and Alec in The Mortal Instruments. I thought their relationship was kind of iffy and a bit problematic. They didn't actually really support each other, or there was a lot of petty arguments between them, but this book really changed the game for me. I mean, it kind of made The Mortal Instruments even more weird, because the trust and love that they built up in this book, then going into City of Fallen Angels, makes even less sense, but we're just going to forget about that, focus on this book. I literally didn't want to put this book down. I read it so quickly because I just wanted to be reading it at all times. I loved Magnus, I loved Alec, I loved their relationship, I loved their adventures. This was just such a fun book because there was so much demon hunting and fighting and sort of questing and adventuring and different locations and different characters popping up, plot twists, there was an interesting overarching mystery which I didn't guess at all. And overall I just had a great time reading this. I just wanted to read it all over again once I'd finished it, and it was definitely the biggest surprise because I gave it 5 stars and I've not given a Cassandra Clare book 5 stars in a hot minute, so I was thrilled to actually find one that I loved, and I can't wait for the next book. The next question is favourite new author, either new to you or new in general. For that one I'm going to pick Sabaa Tahir, author of the Ember and the Ashes series. This book was great. I immediately read the second and third one, A Torch Against the Night and A Reaper at the Gates. I didn't like those ones quite as much. I still gave them 4 stars. This book got 5 star. But it's definitely been a thrilling new find, and I can't wait for the 4th book and to see what Sabaa Tahir comes up with next. She's got such a captivating writing style. She writes great complex characters, a really complex and well threaded plot. She just does it all exceedingly well. There's nothing I don't like about the way she writes. It's all perfect, and I'm definitely newly obsessed with her, so love that. Newest fave character. I feel like this is cheating. It's definitely cheating. My fave characters are everyone from the Diviners. I'm technically, this doesn't really count because I read this originally last year, the 3 books that are out, The Diviners, Lair of Dreams and Before the Devil Breaks You, but I've been rereading it this year again because I'm so obsessed. I'm like, I need it back in my life. I just need to consume it again. But I'm obsessed with everyone from this series. Evie, Sam, Mabel, Theta, Memphis, Henry, Ling. Let's talk about Ling. She's my favourite character. She's science loving, she's disabled, she's queer, she's everything I could want. She's so witty but also quite serious, and she really gets brought out of her shell by everyone around her, and her friendship with Henry is incredible. Love them. I mean, I just love everyone from the Diviners. Can't really choose, but Ling's secretly my fave, so I mean, let's just pretend Jericho's not in the book, hey? We don't need to talk about him. Like, the way I can describe him is like a nice guy, you know, those guys that think they're nice, and that's why they're not getting a girlfriend, but actually it's just because they kind of suck. That's Jericho, so he doesn't count. The next question is a book that made you cry. That's We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. There's always those books that come to you at the right time, that you needed it and they arrived. They came at the right time, and this was the book for me. Made me cry multiple times, sobbed through the last like 40 pages. Not sure I can read it again because it's too emotionally traumatizing, so loved that though. A book that made you happy in 2019 was The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James by Ashley Herring Blake. This book was delightful. I loved it so much. It's a middle grade book about a girl who has a heart transplant and decides her life's going to be new now that she's got a new heart. She's just going to be a new Sunny, and it is so heartwarming, this book. The friendships that are made, the love interests that are made, the relationship between Sunny and her adopted mum and Sunny and her biological mum. All of it is just like getting a big warm hug, and if you need a book to warm your soul a little bit after, you know, you've been traumatized, then it's the book for you. It's just delightful is the only word for it. I just wanted to listen to the audiobook as soon as I finished it. It was charming. fave book to movie adaptation. Again, this is kind of cheating because it didn't come out this year, but I watched it this year, and that is the Hate You Give movie. This was one of the best book to movie adaptations I've ever seen. It was done so well, so authentically, and even when there were changes, they were made for a reason and they were made to improve the film. I thought it was shot so well, I thought it was acted so well. I loved it. I thought it was the perfect movie to go alongside the book. It was great. It was just great. Most beautiful book you've bought in 2019? Most beautiful book is Girls of Paper and Fire. I mean, look at this. Does that not make you want to buy it? Look at this. It's stunning. Hands down, the prettiest book I have bought this year. And the final question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? The book I really want to get to by the end of the year is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. We all know it's the size of my head, so that's what's been keeping me from reading it, and also it's heavy to hold. So I haven't got around to it, but it's got dragons. Like, that's me sold. Like, if you want me to read a book, tell me it's got dragons in it, I'm there. So I desperately want to read this book. I just need to dedicate myself to the 800 pages that it's going to take. So I'm a little bit dubious, but I'm ready. I'm ready for the dragons. The other book I really want to read by the end of 2019 is Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst. It's been on my TBR for forever. I'm pretty much guaranteed to love it. I just need to bite the bullet and read it. It's going to be magical, and it's definitely a 5-star prediction for the year. So hopefully it delivers. That is the end of the tag. I hope you've enjoyed watching. My Twitter and Goodreads are down in the box below, and I'll see you next time.